Okay, let's dive in. We're talking medical tourism today.
Yep.
Specifically India. And you shared this source with us, an excerpt titled India's Medical Tourism Ascendance.
Right. And this piece, it really frames things around two big questions.
Mm-hmm.
So for this deep dive, which is, tailored for you, we're going to explore how this source tackles those questions, see what picture it paints.
Exactly. So the first thing the source asks is why medical tourism is growing in India.
Right.
It doesn't just state it's growing, it jumps right into the why.
Yeah. It immediately wants to know the drivers.
Yeah.
And the source offers some, pretty interesting points there.
Like what?
It talks about major investments in healthcare infrastructure, the last, say, 20 years or so.
Okay.
And the rise of these world-class private hospitals.
Mhm.
We're talking advanced tech, stuff that really competes with Western facilities.
So capability, not just like more beds.
Exactly. And the source says these places are pulling in highly skilled doctors, nurses, many trained overseas, which,
Mhm.
helps build that trust in the quality.
Makes sense. People want good care.
And then there's the government side, too. The source mentions initiatives like streamlining visas for medical travel
Oh, interesting.
and actively promoting India as a place to go for healthcare. So it's sort of a mix, private sector push and public policy helping it along.
Yeah, that tracks. Growth like this usually needs that kind of foundation.
Definitely.
So, okay, the source explains the why it's growing bit. Then it pivots, right? It asks, why should patients from the world choose India over other countries?
Exactly. That shifts the focus. Now it's about the patient's choice and, India's competitive.
And the source positions India as a strong contender.
Very much so. It frames it clearly as a value proposition.
Okay, so what's the main selling point according to the source? Is it all about the money?
Cost is definitely a huge factor highlighted in the source. It states procedures,
Mm-hmm.
even really complex stuff like heart surgery or, joint
Okay.
replacements. It can be done for just a fraction of the cost you'd see in the US or the UK.
A fraction, wow.
Yeah. And often the source notes with similar success rates, it mentions savings potentially between 50% to even 80%.
80%, that's massive. You can see why that would appeal to people facing huge bills or long waits back home.
For sure. But the source is careful. It points out it's not only about the cost.
Okay, what else?
It talks about the availability of specialized treatments. Think cardiology, oncology, transplants, even cosmetic surgery.
Yeah, so specific expertise.
Right. Areas where Indian hospitals have apparently built up a lot of experience, partly from handling many international patients already.
And I think it also mentions shorter waiting times. That can be critical.
Absolutely. Getting treatment quickly is often a major factor. And the source even touches on sort of softer things like English being widely spoken, which helps communication.
Right, makes the whole experience potentially less stressful.
Exactly. Maybe even familiar food for patients from certain regions. Little things that add up.
So if we kind of synthesize what the source is saying, the growth comes from deliberate investment, better hospitals, skilled people, government help.
Right. Building the capacity and quality.
And then the reason patients choose India, according to this source, is that strong mix of much lower cost, good quality, specialized care, and faster access.
Precisely. It's presenting a compelling package compared to other global options.
So wrapping this up based on the source, it laid out the growth factors, infrastructure, talent, policy, and then the patient motivators, cost, specialty, speed.
Yep, that's the core argument presented.
So for you listening, hearing this source break down why India is growing in this area and why patients might choose it, how does that make you think about, the whole global healthcare picture about patient choices today?
Yeah, it's quite a shift.
And here's a final thought. If a source like this is making a case for why patients should pick one specific country, what does that really signal about healthcare maybe becoming less of a purely local thing and more like a global marketplace where patients are actively